All right, what's up, fellas? I just finished up training. Wanted to give a couple updates in terms of a few experiments I've been trying, quite honestly. I mentioned a little while ago, I think in a community post, or it might have been on Instagram, I don't know. I was experimenting with like pre-exhausting my chest before like a deep stretch exercise. So what I was using at first was weighted dips because I think they look really cool and they worked really good. The only thing was, so there's two dip stations that I can use at my gym. One is like I can get to it pretty easily with the plates on the belt or whatever, but I don't know, the bars were just too slippery. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try the other dip handles. Those dip handles felt more stable on the wrists and weren't as slippery. Looking pretty jacked. I just got back from the gym, so I got a little pump going on. But anyway, they were a little bit more stable, but I had to like walk up these steps, like little steps to get up to the dip bars, and that just, with anything more than two plates, felt super dangerous. So I had to X out the dips. Long story short, it worked really well. Now by pre-exhausting, for those that don't know, just basically means that you exhaust a muscle before you try to really hammer it. So I was doing bench press, immediately followed up with dips, as opposed to what I usually tell people to do, which is, do a push then a pull. So to give your pull muscles more rest so that they can maximally recover for strength. And that is really good advice for strength. So definitely still do that if you are performance minded. But if you're looking for a juicy pump or just some good hypertrophy, pre-exhaust is definitely the way to go. I will shill pre-exhaust till the cows come home. You can bet dollars for donuts. If you pre-exhaust, you're gonna feel a lot better of a contraction. That might be total bro science, but we're all bro scientists at the end of the day. None of this stuff is gonna get properly studied or examined in academia because that's impossible. It's impossible to account for all the ins and outs that come with training. So for me, it really works well. For you, you can try it out. But anyway, all that to say, I replaced the dips with something else. So I'm thinking in my head, man, I don't want to do dumbbells because the dumbbells at my gym are like really unscrewed, I guess. Like they're really unstable. You pick them up and like they're so loose that it feels almost like one of them could fall off and hit me in my face. And I don't want that to happen. So I'm like, man, what could I use? And then I remembered Bells of Steel sent me this cambered bar with like a neutral grip to it. So I was using it and I'm like, this feels almost like a dumbbell because I can come way back here, like full protraction or retraction. I'm a caveman, guys. Sometimes I use the improper kinesiology terms, but I can get fully retracted on this cambered bar. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try that out. Past couple weeks, the Incline cambered bench press has been even more effective than the weighted dips for me. It's kind of the pump that you feel when every rep out of a set of 7 feels like it's your last from the very first set. So I think I did like a set of 5 or 6, 3 sets of 5 or 6 on the Incline cambered bench press. And it was that exact sensation. Juicy pump from the very first rep. It's what happens when you pre-exhaust. You feel exhausted before the first rep even starts. Really, really good. Now, as I said, if you are performance minded, you're gonna wanna do like a standard push-pull type of thing if you're doing like an upper-lower split. So that's the first thing. Let's talk a little bit more about incline bench press. I am a big, big fan of that exercise. I have always, tried to fit it in my training programs, and it would just get rotated in and out of my training program as like a regular accessory type of thing. So you're like, okay, I do hammer chest press here, and then 4 weeks, 6 weeks later, I'm going to substitute for incline, blah, blah, blah. Like, but I wanted to do it more often because I really like the exercise. One, it just looks cool, right? 2, I feel for me, it offers a couple special benefits as well. Number 1, I have long arms, in case you guys didn't notice here, relative to my height. I'm 5'11". I don't know what my wingspan is, but if you look at any of my bench pressing footage, some of my bench press sets, the range of motion is larger than some people's deadlift sets. So I have really long arms, and when you are a guy with really long arms, typically you'll have a weakness in the mid-range. So it's not quite off the chest, not quite at lockout, but somewhere in the middle. If you have longer arms, you can tend to have a weakness there. Now, you should be pause benching, real honest pauses, using a t-shirt touch pause, as I like to say. Check out my self-coaching video for more info on why that is so beneficial. Long story short, it just makes the pauses more effective, more honest. So you should be doing that as a minimum to, cover your off the chest weakness. And then for your lockout weakness, hopefully you're working those tries as well. I also have a little strategy you can follow in that self-coaching video as well if you're someone that has elbow pain and you find that you're not able to quite do a whole lot of tricep work because you have golfer's elbow or tendinitis or tendinopathy or whatever. But when you do an incline bench press, and I don't know the biomechanical reason for this, but for some reason, it targets that mid-range very, very well, while also extending the range of motion a little bit. So that does two things for me. It gives me a bodybuilding variation that I can put in my strength training program where I don't have to use a ton of weight compared to like if I were to do a Larson press or a competition style bench press or even a feet up bench press. Like, it's significantly less weight that I have to use while still getting a good stimulus. Dr. Mike Israetel calls it the stimulus to fatigue ratio. I just say, hey, here's a variation where I don't have to use that much weight and it feels really cool. What's up, man? How you doing? But that is the incline bench press, like I said. Two things I will shill till the cows come home. Pre-exhaustion for the PECS and incline bench press. Now, one other thing I want to leave you guys with, because I want to start updating you guys a little bit more about ins and outs of my training, different things that I try, so on and so on. One thing that I alluded to in another video was kind of the wisdom that we could take from bro splits. Now, bro splits, as they are practiced and as they are written, are terrible. For strength anyway. Like for hypertrophy, that's another story. Even in that instance, going to the gym every day is not my preference. But one thing that you can take from bro splits is that it breaks things down into emphases, whatever the plural is for emphasis. But you have your chest day, leg day, blah, blah, blah. I am at a place where I am really concerned with maximizing the strength of my conventional deadlift and also beefing up my legs in general, and as well as all my squat motion patterns. So my safety bar squats, my front squats, and my heel elevated high bar squats are all a priority in terms of lower body training. That being said, something that I say is that for every press you should pair a pull. That's true, but there are two things with lower body training that you have to keep in mind as well. Fatigue in your core and then fatigue in your upper back and lats can potentially detriment your performance on deadlifts, squats, so on. I think what I want to start doing, and I'm going to finish my training block just so that I'm not changing too many variables at once, but my next training block, one thing that I want to try is a dedicated back day, so to speak. And this is something that I've already been having Sam Sheether do. This is my boy. Check out his his channel, Sheether Training. He has a dedicated back day so that he can, one, minimize upper back fatigue that bleeds into his lower body sessions, but two, just, have more time to just work on his back. I'm not going to necessarily have just a back day, but I am going to put all my back exercises on my lower body day. Now, I'm already doing AM, PM sessions, right? I'm going to put that back session, I'm thinking, on the PM session after I do like the conventional deadlifts and like the main squatting variation. So that'll either be, like I said, conventional deadlift paired with front squat, or stiff leg deadlifts paired with safety bar squats. So that'd be in the AM, and then PM would be like back, accessories, blah, blah, blah. Instead of putting the back exercises on an upper body day. Does that make sense? my thought process is that I can do just enough like warm up, prehab stuff with the rotator cuff, and during my movement prep in terms of like lightweight rows just to get the shoulder nice and loose for pressing, and then still ensure that my lats and my upper back and everything are strong enough to ensure shoulder health. I think I may still include like a couple sets of pull downs, medium-ish weight on my my pressing days, but not with an emphasis on load. Does that make sense? Whereas on those lower body sessions during that PM session, it's going to be with an emphasis on load and strength development, just so I can ensure that like I have all my boxes checked off. So that's going to be my experiment for next block, I think. Anything else I wanted to update y'all on? This is just food for thought for you guys, things that you can try. Diet-wise, bear with me. I have never had like farm raised. I don't know what the proper term for it is, but it's the eggs with the orange yolks in them, like orange like my shirt almost. Those eggs taste incredible compared to like the regular grocery store eggs. If you haven't tried them before, you're gonna try those eggs with the orange yolks, and it's like a Dr. Seuss experience. The color is so different, and the taste is incredible. It's like eggs that are eggier, if that makes sense, and they scramble so much better. They just taste a whole lot better, and they even hold the seasonings better. 3 things I'll show in this video: pre-exhaustion for the PECS, incline bench, and then I think they're called pasture-raised eggs. If you Google eggs with an orange yolk, you'll get the proper terminology for it. Short and sweet though, I just wanted to leave you guys with a little bit of food for thought. I'm gonna go get some food in my belly, and I will see y'all later.